A machinist leans on a spinning lathe in a machine shop, and his shirt is ripped off by the rotating steel. It looked like another routine job. The lathe was humming steadily, the part rotating smoothly. The machinist stood just a little too close, leaning on the machine as if it was harmless. His shirt was untucked, loose fabric swaying just inches from the spinning stock. Then, barely noticeable at first, the shirt brushed against the rotation. The machine grabbed hold. In less than a second, the fabric wrapped tight, yanking with unstoppable force. The shirt tore away completely. He was lucky it ended with just his clothing, that it did not pull him in further. Loose clothing and running machines never mix. Never lean on or get close to a spinning lathe. Wear fitted gear, stay clear of the spindle, and respect the danger zone every time the machine is running. On a neighborhood street, a forklift edges out from a flatbed delivery, but before it can clear the space, a bicycle rider cuts straight across its path. This took place in December 2019. A flatbed truck had just arrived, loaded with stacked cargo ready to unload. The forklift operator lined up carefully, easing the machine into position. At the same time, a cyclist came down the same narrow lane. Instead of waiting or taking a safer route, the rider chose to push forward. He aimed directly for the gap beneath the raised forks, treating a danger zone like a shortcut. In an instant, the choice backfired. The rider struck the fork head-on, with no time to brake and nowhere to escape. The forklift itself hadn't moved, but the risk came from entering a space that should never be crossed. Never, ever pass under raised forks, booms, or suspended loads. Even if the machine seems idle, the risk is real. Forks can drop, loads can shift, and what looks like open space is never a safe path. Inside a food factory in Raoping, Guangdong, a worker stands at a massive pressure pot. Then, without warning, the heavy steel door bursts open. It was May 10th, a busy day in the workshop. Machines hum steadily, workers move through their tasks, and one operator was stationed at the pressure pot. Inside, steam was building, trapped by the sealed door, unseen and silent. To those around, everything seemed routine. No one realized the risk that was seconds away. In an instant, the seal failed. The door blasted open with violent force, knocking the worker backward as boiling liquid surged across the concrete. The flood spread quickly, steam filling the room as coworkers scattered to escape. Later reports pointed to improper operation as the cause, but in that moment, the invisible pressure inside turned into uncontrolled chaos. Pressure vessels leave no margin for error. Never, ever open or tamper with a pot, boiler, or cooker until it has been fully depressurized and locked out. Stored energy doesn't give warnings. Skip one safety step, and it releases with devastating force. At a delivery yard, a worker unlatches the back doors of a truck, only to unleash a wall of crates that crashes forward. The truck has just arrived, backed into position, and is ready for unloading. Workers are moving around casually, expecting the process to be simple. Open the doors, begin the job. But inside, the cargo tells a different story. Crates and boxes have shifted during the long drive, leaning forward, stacked with hidden tension against the closed doors. The worker on the ground has no warning. From his perspective, the truck looks calm and sealed. The doors swing open, and instantly, gravity takes over. Dozens of heavy crates surge outward, crashing to the ground with explosive force. Cargo doesn't stay put just because it started the trip secure. Every bump, break, and turn on the road shifts the balance inside. Never, ever trust a sealed door without caution. Loads must be strapped, braced, and checked. And when it's time to open up, the safest assumption is that everything inside is waiting to fall. In a dusty repair yard, a mechanic sits casually on a large tire while inflating a similar tire. And within minutes, the unexpected happened. Big truck and heavy equipment tires need regular checks, and air pressure adjustments are routine. The tires looked harmless, just rubber and steel rings. But hidden inside that casing was stored energy. As the compressor pumped air in, pressure built silently. No alarms, no warning signs, just mounting force inside reinforced rubber waiting for one weak spot to give way. Then, in a split second, it happened. The tire ruptured violently, unleashing a blast of compressed air and steel bands. The worker nearby had no time to react. The tire that seemed so routine turned into a dangerous object. Never, ever inflate large truck or heavy equipment tires in the open. They must be secured inside a certified safety cage, with a clip-on chuck and a long hose that keeps workers far from the danger zone. On a crowded construction site, a crane lowers its hook, but in the chaos, a worker gets caught and is suddenly lifted high into the air. The truck bed was stacked with rebar and heavy materials. Workers moved quickly, guiding loads, clearing space, keeping pace with the crane overhead. From a distance, it looked like another routine lift, just another day unloading steel. But on sites like this, it only takes one break in focus for control to vanish. As the rigging swung, a worker's clothing caught on the crane line. Before anyone realized, he was lifted off his feet, hauled meters above the ground. He dangled helplessly, suspended over steel and concrete, while his team below could only watch in shock. Then, as the load shifted again, he was jostled loose and dropped back onto the truck bed, sending a heavy thud through the frame. This is the danger of stepping into the swing zone of suspended gear. Never, ever stand beneath or near a live hook. A crane's lifting gear must always move in a clear, controlled space, and workers must stay well outside the drop zone, guided by a banksman or signaler who keeps eyes on every move. Inside a workshop, a worker wipes down a scissor lift platform. Sparks from welding fall nearby, and within seconds, the surface bursts into flames. In the center of the shop stood a blue scissor lift, being cleaned before inspection. Solvents and rags were scattered across its platform, routine prep that seemed harmless. But only meters away, hot work was underway. Sparks from the hot work flew straight toward the lift. At first, it looked like nothing. Sparks bounced off the steel frame with no effect, but then one landed directly on solvent residue. In an instant, the platform ignited. The worker stumbled back in shock as flames shot up where the cleaning had just been. Surrounded by flammables, the scissor lift had turned into a fire hazard in the middle of the shop. This is why hot work and cleaning must never overlap. Flammable residues don't need much, just a single spark to set off a disaster. Never, ever allow solvents, rags, or grease near welding or grinding. Keep strict separation of tasks, maintain controlled zones, and always have fire suppression ready before hot work begins. A worker drills into the soil near a house. Suddenly, the ground erupts in an explosion of fire and force. This happened in June 2022. A man was preparing groundworks close to a residential property. He sets the drill into the soil, carving down for what looks like a simple footing or anchor. Nothing suggests danger until the invisible hazard beneath the surface reveals itself. In a single moment, the drill struck an underground gas line. There was no warning, no time to react. The escaping vapor ignited instantly, blasting the ground open. Flames shot upward, shaking the nearby house, while the force lifted debris and equipment into the air. What started as routine ground prep turned into chaos in seconds. Underground hazards are dangerous because you can't see them. Gas lines, power cables, and pressurized mains lie hidden, waiting for a single strike. That's why no one should ever drill or excavate blindly. Every job must begin with locating, marking, and verifying underground services. Maps, scans, and permits aren't paperwork. They're the only line between routine work and disaster. Inside a warehouse, a forklift carries a towering load of plywood, but suddenly the weight proves too much and the entire stack crashes down. It's a busy storage area. Forklifts are moving lumber, plywood sheets are stacked high, and workers are stationed close by, handling tasks at ground level. One forklift operator attempts to carry a massive load, far higher and heavier than safe handling limits. The forks are raised, tilted forward, the balance compromised, but the machine keeps moving, the operator relying on momentum rather than stability. Nearby, a coworker stands directly in front of the load, focused on his own task, unaware of the danger towering over him. In an instant, physics takes control. The weight of the stack overwhelms the forklift's center of gravity. The mast tips forward, and the entire load comes crashing down. The worker in front has no time to react. He is directly in the fall zone. Forklifts are not designed to defy balance, exceed the rated load, tilt too high, or move with an unstable stack, and gravity wins. Never, ever lift beyond capacity, and never let anyone stand in the crush zone beneath a raised load. On a busy loading dock, a worker climbs onto the stacked cargo, tugging hard on a rope that suddenly gives way. The truck is piled with oversized rolls, stacked unevenly with no platform, rails, or harness. The worker stands on top, straining the rope to secure the load. His footing rests on unstable cargo, not on solid ground. Other workers stand below, unaware of the danger about to unfold. As he yanks down with force, the rope suddenly jerks. His body follows the pull, but the cargo beneath him shifts, offering no stability. With nothing to brace against, he's pitched sideways, tumbling off the load in an uncontrolled fall. Never, ever tighten or tension cargo ropes while standing on unstable loads. The combination of force, shifting surfaces, and poor footing is a guaranteed fall hazard. Load securing must be done from the ground, with poles, winches, or elevated platforms designed for safe access. Tie-downs and ropes aren't worth your life. Don't climb onto cargo. Don't tug from the edge. Use tools, use equipment, and always keep 2 feet on solid ground. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.